Hi, I'm Molly Pruitt, your junior warden here at St. George's Episcopal Church, and I am going to walk us through the first of many YouTube videos that will be going over our data from our congregational survey that you hopefully took last spring. You know that we have been working with a service, Holy Cow, that administered our survey and then collected our data and really investigated it and boiled it down to some usable information. And I know that y'all have all eagerly been waiting for this. I want to first talk a little bit about how they looked at that data and then also about how we are going to use the data before I get into the first subject of the data, right? Our first topic, if you will. Firstly, our data was gathered and interpreted based on age groups. And according to these groupings, we had some recommendations from Holy Cow, and these are what we are hoping to use in our transition. Some of those are the best practices to reach out to people with the message of God's love, best practices for family ministry that encompass parents, guardians, youth, and children, and offer 1 or 2 training sessions with the goal of improving confidence and effectiveness, as well as helping leaders explore options for building relationships. And that will guide us in every video as we look at the data. We're also going to look at the data in terms of the lens of now, next, and later. Now refers to where we are when we collected the data, where we are currently. Next is going to share some suggestions based on the data that was gathered, and also suggestions from Holy Cow Consulting Group. And the later portion comes with you guys and how you will participate in the decision-making process as the church profile is developed by the search committee. This presentation is going to focus on identity and direction. It was deemed that from the Holy Cow data that we have a clergy-focused congregation. If you look around, this should come as no surprise. As the Right Reverend Dorothy Wells left, we knew that there was a hole there because she was such a powerful presence here and also took on a lot of responsibility. Holy Cow deemed that we were a healthy congregation that was clergy focused. That meant that we were also coming together as a congregation and doing our part, but that doesn't mean that there weren't places where we could step up. And I know that over the past few months, all of us have stepped up. The definition of a healthy clergy-focused congregation is where the clergy is someone who can manage being the center of focus. They have a personality that allows them to use their goodwill and resources to further ministry and missions. They use their personality to keep that anxiety in the system low. And it also helps with conflict management. And it also, however, there also needs to be focus on, in a clergy-centered congregation, there can be some burnout because a lot of duties are left to one person. Here are the gains of a clergy focus. I'll go through them, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the results from the survey based on the top priorities and age range. So in a clergy-focused congregation, changes can happen quickly. One person is typically making a lot of the decisions, and people tend to agree with them. It's also personality driven, and it's goodwill and attention to ministries that are very focused and driven by the Reverend. There's also growth possible because there's a lot of connection happening between the congregation and the Reverend as well. And again, I want to point out some of those healthy boundaries and supports that we always have to look at when we are in a clergy-focused congregation. I want to now talk about some of the top priorities for people under the age of 35. Their first priority was to change or improve the music of the church to deepen our worship experience. Second, they wanted to enlarge or improve the physical facilities of the church to expand or enhance our ministries. Third, they wanted to expand outreach ministries that provide direct services to those living on the margins of society. Fourth, develop and implement a comprehensive strategy to reach new people and incorporate them in the life of the church. Fifth, they wanted to deepen our sense of connection to God and one another through stronger worship services. Sixth, they wanted to develop ministries that work towards healing those broken by life circumstances. So those were the top 6 things in a clergy-focused congregation that people under the age of 35 were focused on. Our next age range, 35 to 64, which is one of our larger age ranges here, has some overlap. However, they first wanted to make necessary changes to attract families with children and youth to our church, strides that we are making, and I am so proud of us. Second, they wanted to develop and implement a comprehensive strategy to reach new people and incorporate them into the life of the church. Third, strengthen the process by which members are called and equipped for ministry and leadership. A lot of what we've been seeing as the Reverend Dorothy Wells left, as we have all stepped up to help our congregation thrive and continue in this time of transition. Fourth, create more opportunities for people to form meaningful relationships. Fifth, strengthen the management and support of persons in various ministries so that they are able to do what they do in best work and that is meaningful and celebrated. And sixth, provide more opportunities for Christian education and spiritual formation at every age and stage of life. The third age grouping are people over the age of 65. These top priorities are to develop and implement a comprehensive strategy to reach new people and incorporate them into the life of the church. Again, lots of overlap, which is great. We are a very, very cohesive congregation. Second, make necessary changes to attract families with children and youth to our church. Third, to create more opportunities for people to form meaningful relationships. Again, some great overlap there. Fourth, strengthen the management and support of persons in various ministries so that they are able to do what they do best in work that is meaningful and celebrated. Fifth, strengthen the pastoral response of the church in serving people in times of need. And there is a new pastoral care committee if you would like to join. Sixth, strengthen the process by which members are called and equipped for ministry and leadership. Again, lots of great overlap that shows that we really are focused as a congregation. So those are the top 6 priorities by age that Holy Cow has identified for a clergy-focused congregation. These are places that we will look at and things that we will include in our congregational profile because we as a congregation have identified them as things that we want in a new rector. Now, as with anything, there are things that we need to be mindful of and be aware of, because there can be a downside of a clergy focus. And I've talked about a few of them already, and that is boundaries, burnout, and flame out. We can't have one person doing everything, and a church is a collective. And we want to have a new rector that feels, if they are called to our church, that they are also supported and like they are not alone. There can also be anxiety as the overwhelming well-being of the church is riding on the success of one person, or it is perceived that it is. But we know that the church and the congregation find strength in everyone. Conflict also can often be focused on the pastor in a clergy-focused church. And when things go wrong, they typically can be harder to fix. So as we go into the rest of this series, hopefully the format will be something that is familiar here. And also, you will learn a little bit about the congregation, what our priorities are, and what we are looking for. Thank you for tuning in.